I can identify patterns in fractions which are equivalent to 1/2. In today's lesson, you will practice comparing fractions. Then you will solve some fraction riddles. So take a look at these two fractions. Let's think about what strategy we can use to tell which is greater and which is less. Talk about this with your partner. Pause the video until you're ready. Okay, so what strategy can we use to tell which is greater or which is less? Well, we can always compare fractions that are 1 unit fraction from one whole, because 3 is 1 less than 4, and 4 is 1 less than 5. So these fractions are 1 unit fraction away from one whole. So let's show that these fractions are 1 unit fraction from one whole. How many fourths are equal to one whole? Well, 4, right? That's why the denominator is 4. So 3/4 plus 1/4 is going to make 4/4, which is the same as 1, right? And how many fifths are equal to one whole? Well, 5, right? That's why the denominator is 5. So we know that 4/5 plus just one more fifth is going to give us 5/5, or 1, right? That's the same thing. So now tell me which fraction is greater. Is it 3/4? Or is it 4/5? And explain how you know. Pause this video and turn and talk to your partner. Okay, so 4/5 is greater. Each fraction is only 1 unit fraction away from 1. 1/5 is less than 1/4, so 4/5 is closer to 1. Let's read this aloud together. 3/4 is less than 4/5. So now let's look at some riddles. I'm going to give you some riddles to solve. These are a special kind of riddle about a cube train that is 1/2 blue and 1/2 yellow. The answer is always a fraction equivalent to half. Okay, so let's look at this first riddle. There are 5 blue cubes in the train. Now go ahead and grab some blue and yellow cubes and build a cube train that is 1/2 yellow and 1/2 blue. But it also should fit the riddle. So here's that riddle again. There are 5 blue cubes in the train. So go ahead and pause this video until you're ready. Okay, so how many cubes are in your train? Hopefully you said 10. And how did you figure that there were 10? Well, look at the riddle. The riddle says that there are 5 blue cubes. So if you have 5 blue cubes, you have to have also 5 yellow cubes. So the total is 10. So what fractions describe how much of this train is blue? Well, that would be 1 part out of the 2, right? So that's 1/2. And we could also say 5/10 because 5 out of the 10 cubes are blue. So 1/2 and 5/10 are equivalent, and both tell the fractional part of the train that is blue. But they also tell the fractional part that is yellow. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's look at another riddle. There are 7 blue cubes in the train. So pause this video and build a train and check with your partner to make sure that it's correct. Okay, so what fractions tell how much of the train is yellow? Well, hopefully you and your partner came up with 7/14, which is also the same as 1/2. And we would know this because it says that there are 7 blue cubes. So here's 7 blue cubes. And you know it has to be equal to 1/2, so we also need 7 yellows. So 7 out of the 14 is blue. So let's go ahead and look at our next riddle. Okay, so here's the next riddle. There are 6 cubes in the whole train and half are blue. So be careful with the vocabulary here. I'll read it again. There are 6 cubes in the whole train and half are blue. So go ahead and build this train and check with your partner. Pause this video until you're ready. Okay, so what did you and your partner come up with? Now, remember, I told you that you might be tricked with the vocabulary. So this is the important part here. There are 6 cubes in the whole train. Therefore, there's only 6. And you know that half are blue. So what's half of 6? Well, that would be 3. So it would look like this. There are 6 cubes in the whole train. So we do have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In order to make it half, we would have 3 out of the 6. So the fraction for that would be 3/6, which is also equal to 1/2. Okay, ready for the next riddle? Okay, here's the riddle. There are 4 yellow cubes in the train. So go ahead and build this train and check with your partner. Pause the video until you're ready. Okay, so what fractions did you and your partner come up with? Well, let's see. So if there are 4 yellow cubes in the train, that means there has to be 4 blue cubes in the train. Therefore, there would be 8 total. So 4 yellows out of 8 totals is equivalent to 1 part yellow out of the 2 parts. So 1/2 equals 4/8. Here's the next riddle. There are 2 yellow cubes in the train. So go ahead, pause the video, build a train, and check with your partner. Okay, so what did we come up with? So the riddle states that there are 2 yellow cubes in the train. So 2 yellow cubes and 2 blue cubes for a total of 4. So the fraction would be 2 yellows out of 4, which is still 1 part yellow out of the 2 parts. And let's do one last riddle. There are 12 cubes in the whole train and half are yellow. Okay, be careful with this riddle as well. I'll read it one more time. There are 12 cubes in the whole train and half are yellow. Build this train and then check with your partner. Pause the video until you're ready. Okay, so hopefully you and your partner came up with this. There are 12 cubes in the whole train. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yes. And half are yellow. So how many are yellow? 6 out of the 12. The fraction would be 6/12, and it is equivalent to 1/2. So now let's focus on just the fractions. Let's see if we could come up with some kind of pattern. So, take a few moments to look at the equivalent fractions for 1/2. So we have 1/2 equals 5/10, 1/2 equals 7/14, 1/2 equals 3/6. Pause this video and take a few moments to look at the patterns and see if you can figure something out. Turn and talk to your partner about anything that you've noticed. Okay, well, let's look at the first one, 5/10. Did you notice that the denominator is 2 times as much as the numerator? So in other words, 5 plus 5 equals 10, or 5 times 2 equals 10. The same thing works for 7/14. 7 plus 7 equals 14, or 7 times 2 equals 14. Now go ahead and check to see if this is true for all of the fractions on the list. Pause this video and turn and talk to your partner about that. Okay, well, let's look. Here's 3/6. Is this true for 3/6? Is 3 times 2 6? Yes, it is. How about 4/8? Is it true for 4/8? Is the denominator 2 times as much as the numerator? Well, yes, because 4 times 2 equals 8. Okay, well, what if I were to cover up this denominator, and what if I were to cover up the numerator here? Let's see if we could figure that out. Well, let's look at the first fraction, okay? So we know that it's equivalent to 1/2. What would be the denominator here if it were to follow the pattern? Well, it would be 4. How do we know it would be 4? Pause the video and turn and talk to your partner about that. Well, hopefully you remembered that the denominator is double the numerator. And let's look at this fraction here. We know that it's equivalent to 1/2. The denominator is 12. So what would be the numerator? Pause the video and turn and talk to your partner. Okay, hopefully you figured out that the numerator would be 6. And how do we know that? Well, we would have to just take half of this denominator, and that would be the numerator. Okay, so let's look at one last fraction. What would be the numerator for this fraction? We know that the fraction is equivalent to 1/2. So what would the numerator be? And how would you know? Pause this video and turn and talk to your partner. Well, what would be the numerator? It would be 10. And how do you know that? Well, remember, the numerator is half the denominator. So half of 20 is 10. In this video, you learned how to identify patterns in fractions equivalent to 1/2.